Hello, everyone. I'm Andrew. A lot of talks about the AI now, right? It's pretty obvious that something is happening, and I'm really excited about that. So, yeah, I'm also here to talk about AI, but I hope that I will give you a little bit of a different perspective on the AI. So, I'm a product manager, and I'm in product management for quite some time now, and I'm on the individual contributor level, so I work with one team which really delivers value. I'm not the visionary, I'm not the C-level. I really work with the features, with the people who build stuff, and I really like this position. So if you are also at this level, you are building stuff with your hands, I hope this talk will be especially useful for you. I'm product manager in the machine learning area, so I work with machine learning models for quite some time. Actually, I started to work with machine learning before the LLMs came along, so I have some history with the topic in the pre-LLM era. And as my hobby, as a side activity, I like to do education for product managers. So if you want to learn new stuff, I'm trying to give this experience of learning like you were at the job, right? The best way to learn is when you have an experienced colleague and then you sit by his side and you do stuff together, right? I don't believe in learning by listening. For example, if you're listening to me right now, most probably it won't give you much value unless you come home and practice this, right? So I'm trying to create educational materials which really encourage product managers to do stuff with their hands and this way learn new things. As I said, I'm for quite some time in the product management area, and I have seen the area to become mature. So, yeah, first it was very romantic. We were launching the first sites. We were figuring out the UI patterns. But then it evolved. The fundamental books were written, and the area became kind of figured out. Right? So, yeah, the most fundamental books on the product management, they were written like, I don't know, 10 years ago. That's quite some time. And, yeah, since then, I became maybe a little bit bored. There was like very straightforward career progression. If you are really good at management, you start managing other product managers. If you are really good at solving complex tasks, you become a principal product manager. This is where I'm heading. Yeah, I kind of was seeing the pension somewhere on the horizon, and it was all figured out, and I felt a little bit bored in the area. But then I became the product manager for a machine learning team, and this is where things got exciting for me again, because I believe that managing the products or product features based on AI, it requires a very different approach. This area is still innovative. It's still romantic. We don't know how to do it. If you apply the regular product management playbook to the AI products, most probably it will be not the optimal way to handle them. So I'm here to talk how to manage the products which are based on AI or ML if you're a product manager. I think that the advancement of LLMs is quite exciting for us because it's the rare occasion in the history of tech when new opportunities really come along, when we can do things which we couldn't do before. I think the last big shift happened when we all got the mobile phones, right? It unlocked a lot of new patterns. So we had a conference where we're telling, oh, design for mobile is different. User patterns on mobile are different. So we need new approaches, and we learned to do them. And now we have a lot of amazing things which we can do on our mobiles, and we can solve things differently. And I think the advancement of LLM, it gives us this new opportunity. It gives us opportunity to solve things which we couldn't do. We can help customers in ways which we couldn't before. It was just not technologically possible. It was not feasible. Now it is. So yeah, let's go into it. One exciting thing about LLMs, it provides you a really quick start. Who has came up with idea and then just, oh, maybe it can solve it. So I'll just open ChatGPT prompt there and see if it can solve the task. Who did that? Who did the prototyping like that? Who tried their idea like that? Yeah, a lot of people. And this is exciting, right? It allows you to very quickly prototype and build things. In this particular case, I was trying to see if ChatGPT can process a customer support message. And I was trying to detect a situation when the customer actually wanted a refund, but was not saying that I want a refund. And ChatGPT was not able to do that because, well, it didn't have the context. It's not solved with one simple prompt. So I think that it's exciting. It gives you a very, very quick start. But there are some things which we do not get right about how to build with AI. And I think that my background with more traditional ML, like recommender systems and ranking systems, like building the models myself from datasets, actually helps me figure it out. So I'll try to share this with you. What is happening when we are trying to prompt our way into solving customer problem? So there are at least two things which are exciting. First, we are actually programming, right? We are giving instructions to the computer using natural language. With this didn't happen before. We used to use Python, Java, whatever. It was pretty complex. So now we're using natural language. But also, this machine, it is unlike other programming languages. It's not deterministic. Like, you can test it. You can give it the same prompt and the same inputs, and it will give you sometimes different results. So it's much more complex to work with things when you're using AI. So it's OK to jumpstart, to just give it a prompt and see if it works or not. But if you're getting a little bit serious, you have to start working with the large data sets. You need to create a big, and I really mean it, big table of things which could be inputs to your feature, and then start testing it. Like you need to, I don't know, 100 examples, 200 examples, and then test on this big thing. Because every time you change something, it will work for some examples, it won't work for others. Don't test on individual examples. Always look at some bigger data. I will land this on a very practical example, something we started using in Booking.com. We used to have a lot of filters, and people were like saying, OK, I want a free breakfast, I want parking, something else is important to me. They could filter results. But it was pretty clumsy because there were a lot of aspects of accommodation which you want to filter. So we gave our customers an ability to just type in what they wanted, and we tried to transform this into some filters. So in this example, I asked it for a free breakfast, for a parking, and a gym for exercise, and also good reviews. And bam, it could transform it to a search. So I don't need to search for the filters. I don't need to click it. I can just type it. But think about this example, right? When we were publishing this free text, do we know what people are going to type there? No. It's a chicken and egg problem. Before you start, you don't know what they're going to type, so you don't know if you can actually process this well. Maybe they will be asking for things like which you don't have as structured data. For example, I don't know, maybe somebody wants a hotel with the white walls, or I don't know, designer interior. And we don't have this as structured data, so we cannot really cater to that. So we created some kind of example, and LLMs can actually help with that. They can create the synthetic data for you. We were testing on that, and then seeing if we can at least process that. But when actual data from customers started flowing, of course, there were a lot of things which we didn't expect to see there. But good thing that we could immediately put this in our test data set and then improve based on what we see actual customers fill in. So if you are building something which leverages LLM, you should be working with big tables which have input, expected output, and ways to check it. In case of, for example, filters, it's very easy to check. So if I know that customer is asking for something which I understand, I can say, OK, I expect you to have this filter. And I can actually improve. This is an example of a flow which you could be using. You start with very low accuracy. The accuracy is like, how accurate am I in detecting what customer really wants? And I expect to improve. And you can see the last line that actually, instead of just going up, I went a little bit down, but my cost went down and the speed went down. So I downgraded to a faster model. And I saw that the accuracy is still acceptable, but the cost and speed, they improved significantly. Actually, this is the flow which I recommend you to use, because right now, if you are using ChatGPT as a part of your product, not as from the UI, yeah, you will have at least 12 options. So you have 3 models, each has 4 modes to work with. And yeah, it's actually pretty tricky to choose the right one. So I use the following algorithm. I always start with the biggest model. No matter the cost, no matter the speed, I want to see if the task is solvable. If the task is solvable, if I get to the accuracy which is OK for the customer for this case, and this use case is a big of a scale, I am trying to downgrade the model. OK, will the smaller model work for it? Because you see, when you are choosing the model, you actually choose the price, because the price is dependent only on the model. So I'm trying to see, OK, can I get the job done at cheaper level? And if it can get the task done, I'm trying the different reasoning efforts. This is how deep, how many tokens internally the model will require to actually solve the task. And if you use less tokens, then it's faster. So at the same price, you will still get the task done, but a little bit faster. If we look at the use case holistically, there are at least 4 things which are the moving parts. This is why it is very important to have this large data set, and every time you change one of those parts, you need to see how does it impact the whole use case you are working with. So we have the context, like which information do we pass to the model. For example, in a lot of cases, the whole context will be too large. Like, I cannot feed the whole terms and conditions of my product to the LLM. It will be expensive and not really reasonable. I need to have a mechanism which selects the relevant parts. If a customer asks about cancellation, I won't only have the parts which are related to the cancellation, because the answer will be more accurate and it will be cheaper and faster. Then you have the prompt, the instruction. See, it's just one of the 3 major things. And I think the most underappreciated and the most powerful thing which you can use right now are the tools. If we go back to the example of like checking, trying to answer to a customer about an order they made, yeah, you have to have a tool which will retrieve the information about this specific order, because this is not information which LLM has, and it's not really useful to put it in the context. So the LLM should be able to detect, oh, I want information about this particular order. Then they can get some information like what was the policy, what's the cancellation policy, and probably solve the task. But you see, so besides the prompt, besides the model, I have at least 2 things which I am optimizing. And every part of it will have big influence on how good the task is solved in this case. So to optimize this whole big system, you really need to have a big table or a data set which will help you identify if you are improving or not. So these things are quite simple if you're working with a one-step use case. For example, somebody inputs the text, you output the filters, I can check the filters. Yeah, that's pretty easy. But what if you are building a real agent? If you are building an interface where a customer can type anything in, and then the agent will give a long answer, and the question can be on different topics, and the answer could be detailed or not, and it can actually go multi-step. So the method which I just suggested doesn't work, right? I cannot say, OK, you need to answer this and check for this, because the variety of the questions can be very, very big. But also, the answers could be different, and they can all be correct. There is nothing wrong with that. So yeah, what can we do in this case? Oh, I know, there is this new technology which is really capable of analyzing unstructured data, right? The LLMs. So let's call in another LLM. So the customer calls our agent. The agent generates a response, or maybe the whole dialogue. But then we use another LLM to evaluate this whole thing on different parameters, like, was this relevant? Was this factually correct? Did the agent solve the task to the end? LLMs are totally capable of that. Yeah, so you can use another LLM to evaluate that LLM. And now you have even more sophisticated process. So you see how did we start with a very simple thing, like just prompt it, and it can output something. And now we have this very gigantic system with at least 2 LLMs involved, actually more, because there will be probably more, multiple judges. Like one evaluates the factual correctness, one evaluates the tone, one evaluates if it doesn't, for example, if the customer is trying to prompt hack you into giving a discount or something like that. There will be a lot of them. So the system grows to be pretty complex. And did you notice the catch here? Because you see this golden square. Actually, the LLM, which we use to judge the result, it is the LLM system itself, right? We cannot just say, oh, we're going to use this judge, but we're not evaluating it. So, yeah, we need to evaluate the judge itself before we trust its results. So now you have a system of your agent, but then a lot of LLMs which are helping you evaluate your agent, and you need to evaluate the system itself. So it's no longer that easy and exciting, right? It's a little bit more complex. And maybe a little bit of a personal advice. Don't ask the judge to provide numeric estimations, because our partners at Arise, they did this. They did this big number study, and they started corrupting the answers a little bit. They knew how much the corrupted the answer was. And they asked the LLMs, the different ones, to evaluate how corrupted it was using the numeric evaluation. And you can see that, yeah, it's not really, probably you cannot see the small numbers. There is a correlation, but it's not really reliable. So my advice is to use more binary questions like, is it correct, yes or no? This is much more reliable than, how correct it is from the scale from 0 to 10. You see, in some LLMs, it will be like always stuck at the same level, not because your question is incorrect, but just because LLMs are not really good at math. They're good at a lot of things, but not in math unless you give it specific tools. In this case, they don't have specific tools to evaluate the correctness using numbers. Okay, so we have this big flow, and on the side we have quite some flows which will be evaluating the judges or our mechanics to evaluate the LLMs. I think, actually, now you are thinking maybe, oh, it's easier to go the traditional way because, this is no longer fun. This is not longer something I can just, create a prompt and quickly solve a customer problem. It's a very complex solution which you need to maintain, which you need to evaluate, which you need to monitor, which can actually do strange things in quite a lot of ways. It's very, very much prone to errors. But still, I believe that using LLMs is exciting. Mostly it's exciting because it gives us opportunities which we didn't have before. We couldn't take free text input from our customers before because we just couldn't process it in a reasonable way. Now, in a lot of cases, we can ask customers to, just say what you want. And most probably we will process it into structured inputs, and our site will interact with what you're doing. And I think this is where the real revolution of AI comes from, giving the customers new ways to interact with our digital products. You know that there are still travel agents to whom people call and they say, "Oh, I want to go there." Why is that? Because they prefer this type of interaction. So before it was not accessible for digital products. Now we can offer a very similar experience. You can just talk to a machine who uses ChatGPT to plan their vacations. Or any, you see. So it's very nice to talk to somebody knowledgeable to get your trip planned. So quick takeaways. LLMs are really, really powerful, but even if you start working at scale with your customers, you should transition to working with big numbers, a lot of examples and big data sets probably in the next step. After you stop prototyping, you start working with the big data sets. You should iterate on this until you reach some saturation points, and you can use LLMs also to evaluate your LLM solutions. This is like common practice in the industry nowadays. But don't forget that the complexity grows pretty fast, so you need to evaluate your evaluation also in turn. Thank you.